Hey guys, welcome to my show and tell presentation. The artifact that I'll be using today is a snippet and a song titled Ain't Gonna Let Nobody Turn Me Around, written and performed by the Freedom Singers. Here it goes.
At one point, a federal judge issued an injunction with names on it of the people they thought were the leaders of the movement. Reverend Samuel Wells was in Shiloh Baptist Church that night, and he said, "I'm not going to let no injunction turn me round. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me round, turn me round, turn me round. Ain't gonna let nobody."
Alright, that's a snippet and a little backstory to it. During this time period, it was used as a means of inspiration during the bulk of the civil rights movement. The chapter that we're going over is chapter 12, Justifying Divisive Tactics, and I feel that this song embodies the whole meaning of that in a bit of different way of approaching it than regular. The civil rights movement was during one of the most intense and controversial time periods of American history. Now, the movement did start in the 1950s and did not end to 1968, which was the year before the song was released, which just shows the importance and effect on the people from various songs that people were brought together. When thinking of divisive tactics, normally you think of violence or retaliation from unjust treatment, but I'll be taking of a more of a musical symbol, and it was even more effective to get a result than violence. This song was created by a music group, the Freedom Singers. The group or band consisted of 4 people: Charles Neblett, Bernice Johnson, Cordell Reagan, and Rutha Harris. They were members of the SNCC, otherwise known as the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. They created this music to bring inspiration and love to unjust and African Americans all around the nation. They wanted to share and become a new voice to the world for the people that showed perseverance and strength during this rough time. The audience also unveils the rhetorical exigence of an unbearable exigence. Now, it was pretty obvious that the audience were African Americans, black people, and those who fall victim of injustice. But I have a little bit of a different interpretation of it, and I feel that it was created towards the people who were delivering the unjust acts. There were so many unjust events and unbearable things that happened that something just had to be done. Because their voices were not heard, it had to be projected in a different form, in a different way, which I feel was the music. Because we tried nonviolent, there were violence in case of Malcolm X, and it just seemed like there wasn't any change, and no one really understood what we were trying to get at. So that's why I feel about that. And I feel that it was meant to educate and bring knowledge to people of what's going on around the world, because not everybody knew what was happening. Mainly because I feel that it is a message that if you knock us down 9 times, we're going to get up 10. No matter what you do, we will always be here and be stronger and better than ever. No matter what the circumstances is. That's what I got from it. And it really symbolizes that because the song's title is Ain't Gonna Let Nobody Knock Me Down. Ain't gonna let nobody. So it's symbolizing that no matter what you do, who you are, that we will persevere. We will have a greater outcome. We won't stay in this time period, this rough era forever. That life will go on and we will evolve. So that's pretty much what I got from it. It was a lot of controversy between an unbearable exigence and last resort to the concept I wanted to connect this to. And I do not feel it was the last resort because it did not turn to violence and retaliation, which is how most situations to this magnitude normally end. Because normally, if it's the last resort, that means you've done everything you can, everything under God to try to send a message, to try to change something, good or bad. You've done everything, and there's nothing else you can do but this. And that's what I feel was the last resort, and what my meaning of last resort was. And I feel that it wasn't the last resort because it could have been more violent. Like, what stopped people, African American people, from going out on the streets and committing terror to white people? Or going around just trying to lynch people, pick them up, shoot them, stab them? Like, that could have been a last resort. Like, what stopped people from doing that? That's why I don't connect this with the last resort and more of an unbearable exigence, meaning it was just so bad. Everything was happening, it was so bad. But something had to be done. Something had to be done to get our voice out there. Because we tried protests, we tried speech, we tried marching. It seemed like nothing worked to really get into the other people's head, the just people who were doing unjust acts. It seemed like they just weren't understanding. So it seems like this music was a way to connect to them and make them know what's going on and how we can come out of this. This artifact is one of the many great songs that symbolize the injustice, such as "We Shall Overcome," "We'll Never Turn Back," and "Oh Freedom." Those are just a couple songs that the Freedom Singers also had that were top hits and inspirational tools used by African Americans back in the Civil Rights era. You can see really how people responded to these songs with joy and anticipation of what's to come next, what's next in our lives. We have people who are a voice for us. Now, what's next? Like, they feel good inside, but it gave people hope that something better is to come. So that's what I get from it. I also believe that this artifact soaks up the entire civil rights movement, and it kind of goes through the titles of the songs, like "We'll Never Turn Back," "We Shall Overcome," "Oh Freedom." It's expressing different times and different feelings throughout the era. So that really symbolizes the whole entire civil rights movement through the lyrics of the songs also. And I just feel that it's still popular. Like, to this day, you'll still hear a Sam Cooke song. You'll still hear these songs used in our modern day history just because it shows how inspirational and how moving it was to the people. So that's how you can see the popularity and the symbolism of perseverance through those songs. That's pretty much it. Thank you for listening. Stay safe, stay healthy during this time, and bye.